Welcome viewers to the Saturday, May 27th edition of 284 News. I am Jacka Wooding bringing you our top stories from this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin with news that a successful proving flight was staged on Thursday at the Terence B. Lettsome International Airport, paving the way for the commencement of direct flights to Miami next week. More in this report. On Thursday morning, airport personnel, government officials, and curious members of the public gathered at the Terence B. Lettsome International Airport to witness the landing of a staged flight carrying American Airlines crew members who will operate direct flights between Tortola and Miami commencing June 1st. The flight landed on schedule about 11:30 a.m. that day and was welcomed on the ground by a party of government officials, airport staff, and technical personnel. Following the landing, we spoke with Managing Director of the BVI Airports Authority, Mr. Kurt Maynal, on how the morning proceeded.
Well, from our perspective, today was a success. Today was kind of ad hoc because American decided to do what they're calling a proving flight. Some people refer to it as a test flight, but it's actually a proving flight where they did some training. So they came in with essentially just crew, and based on what they were looking to accomplish, to test our approach on runway 25, that's from the east, and runway 07 from the west, it was a success. So you'd have seen that they would have done a flyover from the east, and then they would have done the approach from the west and landed comfortably on our runway here at Terence B. Lettsome. So from our part, it was a resounding success. They were actually overjoyed to be here. It was exactly what they expected because they have been working on their approaches and their metrics for a while. They've been talking to our operations people, our regulators, our safety people, doing their calculations and so on. So it was exactly what they expected. So it was a success from their standpoint as well.
Maynal said that following today's activity, all eyes are set on June 1st. He provided an update on the preparedness of the airport's authority to welcome those flights.
With respect to accommodating American Airlines, we are ready. We are an airport, so our business is operations, our business is efficiency and flows, our business is maximizing capacity. So what we have done is just tweaked our systems and our processes to accommodate the increase in traffic, the increase in numbers moving through our facility come June 1st. Because on the very first day, you'd see that American Airlines has increased capacity because they will have the inaugural flight and the second flight later on. And in between, you'll have our regular schedule of Cape Air and Inter-Caribbean and all of them coming through. So yes, it will be an initial test for us to test our systems, test the resiliency of our systems and how they will work. But we're pretty confident that we are prepared.
He also provided some information on how American Airlines will establish itself to serve on the ground in the Virgin Islands.
American Airlines, we've leased out 2 offices to them, but primarily they do their business online. So they normally do their business online and through a call center. So the traveling public would have access to that. And yes, there would be representatives on the ground. And locally, they've engaged a handler who you'd also be able to access their services through.
The plane, an E-170 jet, smoothly took off from the airport around 2:30 p.m., heading straight back to the Miami International Airport. 284 News, Jacka Wooding. This week, the British Virgin Islands, through the Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports, observed Early Childhood Awareness Week under the theme Supporting Early Childhood Development. Minister for Education, Youth Affairs and Sports, Honorable Sherry De Castro, opened the week with a statement on Tuesday. As she welcomed the observation and its theme, De Castro noted the importance of early childhood development to the sustainability and growth of the society.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4 targets quality education. Quality education is identified as the strategy that enables upward socioeconomic mobility, is key to escaping poverty, and ensures that we produce citizens who can compete globally. Early childhood education is the bedrock of any thriving education system and any thriving society. The science of brain architecture presents clear evidence that during pregnancy and the first 3 years after birth, critical elements of our health, well-being, and productivity are established. which will last throughout childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. A newborn baby's brain contains almost all the neurons it will ever have. By age 2, massive numbers of neuronal connections have been made in response to interactions with the environment and especially interactions with caregivers.
The minister went on to explain the importance of ensuring that children are exposed to a nurturing environment and caretakers who understand their role at this critical stage in human development.
Interactions with the environment and interactions with caregivers are two key concepts proven to have significant impact on the development of the brain during the early childhood stages. Caregivers here include parents, guardians, child care workers, early childhood practitioners, and teachers. Interactions are the keys to unlocking the brain's potential during those critical years. Recognizing the importance of positive interactions, we must improve on our strategic action of increasing access to quality early childhood experiences. For us at the Ministry of Education, it means increasing and improving on access to quality early childhood services. We cannot do it alone. Quality early childhood services means access to quality services for families, prenatal care, neonatal health care, nutrition, and when observed, the provision of effective and sustainable early childhood intervention. It is about ensuring that families and caregivers of young children receive support to provide nurturing care to young children, and that those with additional needs get extra support and services.
As the Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports continues to pursue its vision of reimagining education in the Virgin Islands, De Castro noted that a key step in that regard would be to achieve its legislative mandate. She has also urged stakeholders and employers to ensure that their policies are family-friendly.
We already have early childhood regulations and standards for those regulations in place. We are currently working to finalize a comprehensive policy for early childhood care and education. We are working towards strengthening our relationships with other key stakeholders to close the gaps that currently exist. This will allow us to identify where and how we can work more cohesively to effectively support young children and families. As Minister for Education, I encourage all stakeholders to review current policies and practices to ensure that they are family-friendly and that more child-friendly spaces are created. At the Ministry, we will be working more closely with early childhood center providers to identify and implement ideas to enhance the programs being offered while supporting the universal implementation of developmentally appropriate practices.
The Ministry of Education is collaborating with the Institute of Education at the H. Lavity Stouts Community College to provide training and continuous professional development for early childhood practitioners. Throughout the week, the ministry was undertaking various activities to get the community involved and informed on that effort. Members of the public were encouraged to participate and turnout was said to be exceptional. Viewers, with that, we take you to a quick commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you, know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I even watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman presents Sons in Suits Brunch, a celebration of fathers and sons, at Treasure Isle Hotel on Saturday, June 17th, 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., featuring guest speakers, Deputy Governor of the Virgin Islands David D. Archer Jr., Pastor Courtney Jones, entertainer Raul Jugusprov, entertainment by Johanse Smith and Che Pemberton, alongside DJ Molly. Tickets are $75 for a father and son duo and $40 single tickets. Fun, food, fellowship, and fatherhood. Lots of giveaways included. Ticket outlets are CCT flagship stores on Tortola and Virgin Gorda. Calling all fathers, sons, father figures, nephews, and uncles. Sons in Suits 2023, hosted by the Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a red carpet celebration of fathers and sons. For more information, contact 442-3132. Proudly sponsored by CCT and 284 Media.
Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. As part of World Telecommunications and Information Society Day events, high school students from across the territory were engaged by the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission in a recent anti-cyberbullying event entitled Don't Be Mean Behind the Screen. The event featured various presentations from specialists and influential members of society in an effort to inform and caution students about cyberbullying and cybercrime. Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley was one speaker who graced the mic that day and urged students to be cautious of their behavior and the impact it could have on others.
Some persons, when they see their name on a news story and people are killing them, or something's going wrong in a WhatsApp group about them, some of these persons actually contemplate suicide. Like they don't want to be alive anymore. And it's a serious problem. Some people go into depression. They can't eat. They can't sleep. They don't want to come out to school because they don't want to interact with people. And it's a big challenge in our society. And I really want you to think about that when you get among your friends and you start laughing and joking about something negative, about something else, and you use the medium, because that's all it is. The technology is just a medium to make it happen. And it's easier because sometimes you're anonymous, people don't know who you are, so you could just be mean really without consequences. And there are some consequences I'm sure you will hear about, because I see the Director of Public Prosecutions is going to be here giving a talk and might tell you about the computer, a cybercrime and computer misuse act. And I see it being violated all the time. And there are very serious consequences. You're talking about $200,000 fines, $400,000 fines based on what you do on your phones that you may not even know is a crime.
Minister for Communications and Works Honorable Kai Reimer also made a brief presentation in which he urged victims and witnesses of cyberbullying to speak up to the relevant authorities.
Which social media group, which social media platform do you prefer? Instagram, TikTok. So do you know which one of those platforms have the most reports for cyberbullying? Instagram. Instagram is mostly reported. So I think that's a platform that you should use most when you're cyberbullied. Then you'll know that they are looking and you can report it to them. But in the interim, when you're being cyberbullied, try to reach out to someone, report it. If you're nervous about it, speak to a friend, speak to your family, speak to your parents, because you don't want to fall into that stage where you fall into depression and you fall into this area where you're afraid to speak, you're even afraid to go out because persons look at you funny based on what is said on the social media platform. So just like it's saying, don't be mean behind the screen, there's also an avenue that you can report these events. So I encourage you this morning, because I don't want to stand here all morning. I just want to allow you to get to the rest of the events. But I want you to know that there are forums where you can go out and report these events, and feel free to continue to use the platform. And don't be the persons behind the screen being mean also, okay? So I just want to say again, good morning, and thank you. Thank you to the TRC for putting on this magnificent and amazing event.
Director of Public Prosecutions, Tiffany Scatliff, spent some time explaining to students the array of criminal offenses that can be committed during an act of cyberbullying or other activity online. She also made them aware of the existing legislation in the Virgin Islands to prosecute such activity.
First of all, bullying is mainly the main topic that we're dealing with, but bullying is a crime, and it's behavior of intimidation that actually leads to other criminal offenses, such as assaults, and can lead up even to murder. Theft and other things are also forms of bullying, but we're going to deal with the cyber aspect. Now, a cyber crime is any activity which is a criminal offense. That means it's wrongdoing. That is wrongdoing, and that it's used using a computer, your smartphone, network, or the internet. Cyber criminals do not care who they target. They go after persons, corporations, schools, governments, they don't care. So, different types of cyber crimes. Phishing. Y'all know what phishing is, right? Okay. Hacking, file hijacking, malware, that's also a cybercrime. Violation of privacy, including revenge pornography. Yes, I'm going to talk about that. Because I see too many revealing pictures of people under the age of 16 years, and it needs to stop. You have cyberbullying, which is also a form of harassment. You have child pornography, identity theft, and what you call stalking, electronic stalking. Okay? Now, cyber crimes are outlawed between the criminal code and, more importantly, in the Computer Misuse of Cybercrime Act, which is including sending offensive messages, electronic defamation, electronic stalking, violation of privacy, unauthorized access, modification, interception, or obstruction of a computer for the purpose of committing a criminal act, using your access to a computer or data for unlawful purposes, accessing your computer or someone else's computer to commit an offense, or making a device or computer data available for the sole purpose of committing an offense.
Also from that event, Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley shared the belief that a culture of negativity has developed in the Virgin Islands and is contributing as a factor to permanent emigration and brain drain from the territory. Wheatley stated that while a considerable number of Virgin Islanders study abroad and return home to use their skills, others seem to prefer to establish themselves elsewhere, sometimes stating that their move was catalyzed by the Virgin Islands being a, quote, negative place. More in this report. As he addressed students at the recent anti-cyberbullying event hosted by the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, Wheatley implored the youth to be the change in what has essentially become a culture of negativity in the Virgin Islands.
You go to the United States and you meet a whole bunch of people who are from the Virgin Islands. Part of the reason why persons go to school and sometimes don't come back, is because they feel the Virgin Islands is so negative. And they want to escape that negativity and go to a place where no one knows them. Because sometimes when we're here, sometimes we're so nasty to each other and so mean to each other. Some people just can't wait to get on a plane. You see that American Airlines flight that's about to land? Some people just can't wait to get on that American Airlines flight, leave, and never come back.
The Premier shared that even he has been a victim of cyberbullying and bullying by the masses, but has navigated those adversities with a thick skin. He cautioned the students that all too often, persons become indirectly involved in cyberbullying and encourage negative behaviors in the society.
I myself am a victim of cyberbullying. Yeah, you go on the blogs and people calling them slow one day. Now, who could call me slow one day? You know, and then you can't come to this event, don't be mean behind the screen, and then you're looking for the next Micah Barry episode, you know.
He urged students and the wider public of the Virgin Islands to remember that this is a great place to live. He said that despite frequent complaints and negative comments, there is a lot to be proud of.
Despite the fact that sometimes we like to complain a lot, the Virgin Islands is a dope place, you know, like a lot of people want to move from wherever they are, all the cold places that they live, and they want to come to the Virgin Islands and they want to make the Virgin Islands their home. Lots of persons come here from all over the world because the Virgin Islands is a great place and we have great people in the Virgin Islands.
Premier Wheatley has called on members of the community to do their part to change the culture of negativity by taking an opportunity every day to celebrate a fellow Virgin Islander. He has also called for there to be an approach of love in times of differences and adversities rooted in improvement mindsets. To It for News, Jacka Wooding. Viewers of that, we take you to a quick commercial break. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually...
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Burrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites.
It will bite.
Everything
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Angie, how can I get my claims paid quick? Rent's due next week.
CG processes 99% of claims within 5 days. Remember when I was hang gliding with those goats? I caught a gust of wind and flew right into a moving car. Every appendage was in the cast, and they paid fast and fairly. That's what I get for trusting a man with a mustache and an eye patch. Now I gotta go. I'm meeting the guy who bedazzled my toes.
99% of claims are processed within 5 days. CG Insurance. Good like that.
When you're in need of air conditioning, installation, repairs, or replacement services, Markinson Air Conditioning and Refrigeration has the professional technicians, equipment, parts, and ACs to get the job done right. Markinson Air Conditioning and Refrigeration carries top brands like Daikin, Aircon, Mitsubishi, and more. We're open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Located in Fish Bay. Telephone 340-4114 or 343-9511. Markinson Air Conditioning and Refrigeration, providing exceptional services to the British Virgin Islands since 2015.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue our broadcast with news that the Caribbean community, CARICOM, recently joined the international community in celebration of International Day for Biological Diversity. The organization marked the occasion with a message from its secretariat on the importance of biodiversity and action to protect it in the Caribbean and wider world. More in this report.
This year's global celebrations bring a renewed sense of hope with the adoption of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework at the 15th Conference of Parties to the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, which was signed on the 19th of December 2022 by 196 nations. This landmark achievement produced this year's theme, From Agreement to Action, Build Back Biodiversity. Now that the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework has been approved, quick action on implementation is expected. Biological diversity is often understood in terms of the wide variety of plants, animals, and microorganisms. It also includes genetic differences within each species, for example, between varieties of crops and breeds of livestock, and the variety of ecosystems, forests, oceans, rivers, that host multiple kinds of interactions among their members, being humans, plants, or animals.
Biological diversity resources are the pillars upon which we build civilizations. Fish provide 20% of animal protein to about 3 billion people. Over 80% of the human diet is provided by plants. As many as 80% of people living in rural areas in developing countries rely on traditional plant-based medicines for basic health care. But loss of biodiversity threatens all, including our health. It has been proven that biodiversity loss could expand diseases transmitted from animals to humans. On the other hand, rich and intact biodiversity offers excellent solutions to fight against pandemics like those caused by coronaviruses. While there is a growing recognition that biological diversity is a global asset of tremendous value to future generations, the number of species is being significantly reduced by certain human activities. Given the importance of public education and awareness about this issue, the Caribbean Community Secretariat joins the regional and international community in celebration of International Day for Biological Diversity. The Caribbean community region's rich biodiversity remains the answer to several sustainable development challenges. Its conservation and sustainable use requires a whole of government and whole of society approach. The new global targets aim to restore and conserve at least 30% of our lands, waters, coastal areas, and oceans, cut global food waste in half, and significantly reduce overconsumption and waste generation, mobilize more than $200 billion per year in domestic and international biodiversity-related funding from all sources, and ensure gender equality in the implementation of the framework so that women and girls have equal opportunity and capacity. CARICOM has a part to play in halting and reversing the loss of biodiversity. Governments have committed to implement national and sub-national policies to align with the global targets and goals. There is also a role for businesses to assess impacts and implement sustainable practices. Society will need to examine practical means to change our consumption habits, to reduce waste, and include dietary variety. We all need to talk about biodiversity. It is the foundation upon which we can build back better and stronger.
And viewers, that is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news at 284media.com. Like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Jacko Whitting and I will see you again next week. So have yourself a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.